Good morning, everyone. Hi there. Nice to see you all coming in from all different parts of the world. My name is Milla, and I'm going to be your guide this week at these morning meditations with Sangha Live. I think I last taught here about a year ago, so it's really lovely to be back. Thank you for being here to practice. Let me just check that my sound and everything is okay. Feel free to send me to put something in the chat if there's anything I need to change. All good, thanks, George. All right, brilliant. So this week, I'm planning to share on some simple themes about practice. And these themes are the breath, the body, and connection. And I'm offering it all in the spirit of invitation, so you can feel free to take up as much or as little as I offer. And also in the spirit of experimentation and reflection. So we might try out some things together and see how they land in our practice and in our lives, and then maybe share a little bit about that in the chat as well. I'm keen to have this be kind of a shared, as much as possible, a kind of shared experience, as much as you would like. So it's a kind of back to basics simplicity, partly because practice is usually at its heart pretty basic. This body, this breath, these embodied connections within ourselves and with others. This opportunity in this moment to inhabit this life fully and freely. So I'll speak a little bit at the top of each day, of each session, then share a short guided practice. And then on most of the days, I'm planning to leave a lot of time for silent practice together. And then at the end, some time for questions and your reflections, mostly over the chat, I imagine. And I see my role as holding this space for this hour, maybe providing some prompts and ideas or perspectives as they occur to me. So your practice can have a space to unfurl, and the magic of your experience can flourish in your awareness. So you can have a space for the magic of your awareness to flourish in your experience. So I'll be here and I'll be offering some thoughts, but it's your practice that really matters. All right, so breath, body, and connection. The breath as part of practice in terms of different stages of practice as I see it. It can help us to settle, can be used as a point of focus, can connect us with physical experiences, and it is in itself a physical experience. And contemplation of the breath can also bring up the insights that come up again and again on the Buddhist path. And the body also, similarly, a place to go to check in with what's really going on so that we can respond appropriately, as well as a place to explore different forms of settling, different ways to focus, ways into concentration or mindfulness. And of course, our main way of connecting with one another and forming relationships through the ways we show up in the world, how we speak, how we are with each other. And these relationships might be internal connections that we notice between our different body parts or our different body systems, between physical and emotional or mental or spiritual aspects of our lives, and connecting us to the world through our senses and our actions. When we're together, we breathe the same air. We sort of show up with each other physically in our body language and our patterns. of physical expressions and touch. So there's loads of paths through this amazing terrain, underpinned by meditative or contemplative practice and Buddhist ideas. And I've found, a bit like other areas of study, that the more I think I'm going to narrow on something and understand it, a very specific aspect of this path, the more it kind of opens out. So I go narrower and then it all opens out, and narrower and I open out, kind of in a TARDIS-like way. So I'm going to pick kind of themes on each day here, and then see what happens, explore the focus and the depth. And at the same time, these practices always based in this simplicity of breath and body, the simplicity and yet the kind of wholeness that can bring. As Martin says, your body is the universe. And there's a philosopher called Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who's a phenomenological philosopher. It's a very long word for this time in the morning. But Merleau-Ponty says our bodies are a general means of having a world. They're our kind of access point into being a person and into interacting with the world, into having a world at all. And this may be why in lots of the teachings, and particularly the sutras of the Pali Canon, which is the foundation for much of the contemporary Vipassana tradition, the body is often treated as a place to start. In the Satipatthana Sutta, which is one of these foundational important suttas in this broad tradition, the Buddha gives instructions for the 4 foundations or the 4 establishments of mindfulness or remembering. Remembering the body, the first one, and then through the body remembering the feelings or the Vedana, remembering consciousness, and then phenomena or mental objects. And that instruction to remember or to inhabit fully the body is given first. So in a way, it's the foundation of the foundation. We can give ourselves a good start by starting there. Become grounded in our experience, so we're there in what's really going on. And we can also discover some of these insights, such as perhaps anatta, non-self, non-fixed self, the way we're in constant process. And perhaps we can also find the experience of being fundamentally in relationship with others. This aspect of non-self that is more about our kind of the fuzzy edges of what we might think of as our personhood or ourself. We're fundamentally in relationship within ourselves, with each other, and with the wider world, which Thich Nhat Hanh calls interbeing. So we might discover these things in meditation or through reflection and contemplation, and then we can take them out into our wider lives. Sense of being a process, sense of being fundamentally connected, perhaps of being a little bit fuzzy-edged, porous. And in the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha teaches that a person should contemplate the body in the body. Contemplating the body in the body means resting right in the experience rather than like observing it from above. Inhabiting it, experiencing it from the inside with this kind of radical simplicity. And he also says a person should contemplate the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful. So with a kind of passionate approach to practice, clear focus, clear thinking, energy, and the awareness of mindfulness. So with all that in mind, let's prepare for a sit, or if you're lying down or you're standing or you're taking any other shape with your body, it's very welcome. I'll guide us in, and then, as I said before, I'll leave plenty of silence for our shared practice. So feel free to settle in. Maybe take any stretches or yawns or wriggles you might want to make. Maybe a little shake. And again, all of this is completely optional, of course. Maybe a few slightly deeper than usual breaths, whatever that means for you. And starting with gratitude for this practice of liberation, for all the people who've developed it and shared it, the Buddha and many others, stretching back in time, all their supporters and peers whose work and generosity enabled the practice and the teachings to flourish and to survive across all this time. Thanking particular teachers that you know that have been important to you or that are important to you. And thanking all those whose work and commitment has made our practice possible, whether personally through their support and their care, or through the social and economic structures that enable our lives and enable us to use our time in this way. Thanking all enablers and supporters of our practice, seen and unseen, known and unknown. Checking in with how you are right now. Is there anything that you need? Any shifts you can make? Allowing yourself to settle. Is there a way you could be 5% more settled or more established in your posture? Finding a balance between being grounded and being bright, grounded and open. Starting to soften as well. Noticing if there's any areas of bracing or tension showing up, probably patterns you might be familiar with. And just inviting them to soften, again, maybe 5%. Are there any shifts or changes you can make to allow yourself to be softening into the practice? So in gratitude, with settling, with softness, connecting with our experience, the places where your body meets the ground, sensing into the immediate physical sensation of that encounter between your body and the earth with gravity. And then moving into the experience of the body, breathing, your body, your breath. I invite you to pick an area of sensation or of movement. Perhaps it's your lower belly, perhaps your chest or your mouth or nose or throat, where you can feel the sensations of the body moving and of the breath moving. And allowing your awareness to be deep within the experience, to enter into it so that you are aware of the body in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending, remembering, and we'll have some silent practice together. Noticing where you are. Noticing if any unhelpful patterns have come in. Physically, thought patterns, inviting them to settle and soften so that you again can settle and soften into your practice. Being in the body, ardent, clearly comprehending and mindful. What is it to be in this breathing body, made up of so many uncountable streams of dependently arising phenomena interacting? Streams from deep time, from across space, like laser beams intersecting to make a point of light that is your life, your experience right now. What is it to inhabit this moment that is both utterly everyday and a cosmic miracle? So coming back together now, I wonder how things are. I invite you, if you like, to put any reflections on your practice in the chat, if you like, and also any questions you may have that it might be interesting for you if I explore a little bit. And the reason I'm inviting you to share reflections in the chat, I know some of you do that already anyway, but to really encourage it is partly so that I can understand who's here and get to know you more, and so you can keep getting to know each other, whether you are a long-time attender or a more recent joiner. A little bit of community creation and support. So please feel free. Certainly on my own journey, sometimes it wasn't that many times, but the times when I could really talk about practice with other practitioners, there were times when that was really, really helpful to me. Whether it was something beautiful and joyful or about a challenge. So please feel free. And to mention Dana, as you know, the platform runs on the generosity of all of you wonderful people, and the money you share helps Sangha Live to stay sustainable, and this week it will also help my life to stay sustainable. So thank you for whatever you feel able to share or moved to share in terms of financial support. It's very grateful. So I might have a look at the chat and see about any reflections or questions. And if there aren't any, or if they're going to take a while to come in, then we can have some more quiet practice together, extra bonus. Thank you for your reflections. Nita asks how to deal with feelings of fear and anxiety. Thank you. You're very welcome to put a specific question in. I will also try and respond to that, but if there's something more specific, you're very welcome to put that into. But without knowing any more background and in really general terms, I think with care and I don't know, Martin sometimes talks about these 3 C's of contact, curiosity, and care. And I sometimes think of feelings as kind of visitors. It's not always a helpful way to think about them, but sometimes, certainly in practice, feelings might be visitors who, come to the mouth of the cave to say hi or to, wave a rattle in your face. And I think first to acknowledge them, to not pretend that they're not there or ignore them. So with fear and anxiety, to say, oh, hello, fear. Hello, anxiety. I know you. I see you. But also to see them with an attitude of care, that they themselves may be fearful or anxious, these feelings. And then also care for yourself, contact with yourself around these feelings, so that while they may be present and they may be disturbing, there's also a lot more to your experience, and there's a lot more to who you are and your life, that with compassion and care can hold these feelings. I think that's probably the most important thing, to meet them, to not ignore them, and to treat them with care, but also to treat yourself with care around them. And then that may give enough stability and nourishment to explore more curiosity sides of things, which I don't think I'll talk about now, not without knowing more about the situation. But yeah, essentially with care and gentleness is what I can say right now. Thank you for all your reflections. They are coming in, and I won't read them all, but I won't read them out, but I can see them, and I'm really grateful, and I hope that they're useful to you all as well. Reinhild says, feeling like an abyss of need for relaxation and quiet, and not knowing how to integrate this in a busy life. I'm going to think about that one. And I really also encourage you to answer one another, so other people may have a view on that. I'm going to come back to that. Doro says, hi Doro, I love the idea of all the currents that make us bodily and mentally and spiritually here. Talk some more about that. So there's this idea in Buddhism there's this Buddhist idea, which is that, this idea of no self, of non-self, of anatta, and fundamental interconnection can be viewed in many ways. But one of the ways is that all phenomena, including ourselves, are made up of other phenomena that are streaming. You could imagine them streaming through the world, and they are dependently originating. So they arise because of each other, and they're interacting. So one of my teachers is a very wonderful teacher called Lee Brasington, and he's American and extremely down to earth. And he has this an acronym which is SODA PI, streams of dependently originating phenomena interacting. And I kind of see that visually as, like I said in the meditation, of all of these like laser beams coming across time from near and far and across space, these streams of phenomena, which could be the oxygen you're breathing, or it could be the DNA in your cells, it could be, the very elements that make up your body, which, came from space. And they're all interacting at this point. And of course, as light moves, and as time moves, it's always moving, but they're always interacting. And so I have this image of like an Indra's net kind of image of all of these streams, and there are points where they interact, and that's where we have like a person or a tree or a rock. So it's just a way of seeing, or a way of touching on this notion of dependent origination, or SODA PI, which in Buddhist thinking, I think, kind of explains reality as we see it. And one of the outcomes of it is that we're not fixed. We're not a thing with a clear center and a clear edge. We are a process of interaction. So there we are. I rambled about that one for a bit. I hope that's helpful or interesting. SODA PI, I'll try and put it in the chat afterwards. It's soda, like I drink a soda, and pie, like P-I, soda pie. Streams of dependently originating phenomena interacting. Okay, I'm trying to go through the chat. There we go. Okay. Right, I'm going back through the chat, so I'm seeing the most recent questions first. Thank you, Heidi. And it's Lee Brasington, if people want to look him up, he's fantastic. So here's a question from, can't pronounce it, Merrily Win. Over the last few days, it feels like I have an intruder in my meditation that is a block preventing me from getting into it. This intruder is a person. I'm very familiar with this pattern in my own practice. And while over the last few days, I've tried to acknowledge its presence with compassion, today I just felt angry and frustrated with their presence. Yes, I have definitely had that experience. So the person at the mouth of the cave is a person, not a feeling, not a mind habit, or they appear as a person anyway. And it's very difficult. I've taken a person on retreats with me and been very frustrated by just this kind of thing, because they're not the person I really wanted to share the retreat with. It's a little bit like the fear and anxiety, I think, as a way to start approaching it anyway. I mean, it's not necessarily something you can just fix. But firstly, to recognize what it is that they trigger in you and to take care of that. That's probably the most important thing, without necessarily having to understand the story, but not necessarily having to understand the story of why they trigger that in you, or who they are, or why they're so annoying, or whatever it is, but just to notice that this person triggers in you a set of feelings, and that those feelings, you can take care of them. I found that to be more helpful than trying to kind of deal with the person themselves. And it may be useful to you, I don't know, but just in my own experience, another thing that has ended up being helpful, which I kind of found out eventually, was to figure out why, in a way, they kept appearing, which was actually something to do with me. And in my situation, they were someone that I was always kind of fighting with, and they tended to appear when I was nervous about something else. So I was afraid of, having to do something important or scary to me. And then they would appear because I was feeling nervous and insecure. And I would be trying, I think, to scratch the itch of insecurity by having a fight with them that I imagined I might be able to win. But then when I went underneath it a little bit more, I saw that the reason I was secretly calling them to the mouth of the cave was because I was really insecure about something. And then taking care of that insecurity, it stopped the power of the habit. It stopped the power of their constant appearance. It didn't stop them, but it stopped their having quite so much energy. So I think that's what I can say for now. And we're nearly at the top of time at the end of this particular session. So thank you, everyone. And somebody asked about the body in the body. I will hopefully be coming back to that. I'm aiming to come back to that a little bit. And someone asked about just now, I'll just say this before we finish. Thanks and bye everyone if you're going. But the mouth of the cave I mentioned just as a kind of metaphor for visitors to the meditation experience. So as if we're a hermit in a cave and someone comes to the door loudly, and it's a metaphor for disturbances we might have in our practice. Anyway, I wish you all a very wonderful day, and I look forward to practicing with you tomorrow. Thank you for your practice. See you soon.